Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bottom Line, the podcast that sits down with all the people in the back end who make the nonprofit organizations that you love to give money to or love to not give money to, the ability to move, shake, and do the things that they do. And today we're sitting down with a wonderful guest. His name is Rabbi Aaron Leibowitz, and he is the founder of an organization called Chupot. I'm sorry how to say the full name of your organization.
So the nonprofit is actually called Hashgacha Pratit, which was our first initiative, and Chupot, which is the brand that it's like our front-facing brand right now, is a project of Hashgacha Pratit.
Cool. So there you go. And I'm going to keep doing my little intro, but I appreciate you helping me fill me in. And so he's actually based in Israel, just like we are. So it's really, as the name of the organization is called, Hashgacha Pratit. It's Hashgacha Pratit, which means divine providence. And it's a play on words, but for them, but that we're connecting here on this podcast. And I'm happy to sit down and have the conversation with him. Before we dive in, this show is proudly sponsored by Bravehearts TV, GiveSuite, and a new brand. GiveSuite is the all-in-one nonprofit system that helps your organization go elevate yourself, accelerate yourself with no limits, with all the tools inside GiveSuite to get it done. Fun marketing, fundraising, donor management, and more. GiveSuite's got it all inside for one fixed price. If you'd like to learn more, you can sign up for a 60-day free trial of GiveSuite with the link in the page, as well as Bravehearts TV. You can catch this episode on Bravehearts, streaming on where all major streaming platforms are. And before we dive into the show, no one cares about me. Let's talk about you. Rabbi, how are you?
I'm okay. Baruch Hashem.
Absolutely outrageous. So first of all, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm happy for the introduction that your colleague Hillary made to us, because I've had conversations with her and before, and I think it's really cool what y'all are doing. So what's your deal?
So our organization was founded to challenge the monopoly of the chief rabbinate of Israel over religious services. I am an Orthodox rabbi, and religious services in Israel tend to be Orthodox, but the law gives a monopoly to the chief rabbinate of Israel, which primarily is controlled by the ultra-Orthodox community. And because of that, the policies of the chief rabbinate tend to be much more severe and extreme than is appropriate for the general populace. So we founded our organization around kashrut services. We provided private kosher supervision for 6 years, and we found a workaround to challenge the monopoly, the legal monopoly that the Rabbanut have. And when the Israeli Supreme Court gave a green light to our model, we passed it on to a much larger, probably the largest religious Zionist or modern Orthodox rabbinic organization in Israel, Tzohar. They basically took over our kashrut, our kosher supervision operation, and we opened our new product, which is Chupot, which is Orthodox weddings for people who cannot or don't want to get married through the Rabbanut. The law in Israel gives the chief rabbinate a monopoly over weddings, and because of that, there are many couples who are eligible according to Jewish law, but not recognized as eligible by the Rabbanut. And there are also many couples in Israel that want halacha, want tradition, but do not want to associate themselves with the chief rabbinate. So that's where we come in. We currently do between 350 and 500 weddings a year. That's a pretty big gap, but after a couple of years of war and pandemics, it's hard to get a clear read on where we're at. But it adds up to more than a wedding a day if you spread it out over the year, and we're hopefully moving the needle of Jewish identity in Israel.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So it's interesting you say that a lot of people want to get married Jewishly, but they do not want to go to the chief rabbinate. So what is the reason for that, and how do they find you?
So there are a couple of different reasons. There's a very large community of immigrants from Eastern Europe and Israel who came to Israel by the law of return because Israel recognized them as Jewish, even though many of them are not Jewish according to halakha. If your father or your grandfather is Jewish, you can make aliyah according to the law of return. You can come to Israel. And many of these immigrants and their children live in Israel today. And the chief rabbinate has very severe requirements to prove Jewishness, much stricter than halacha requires, because they go by a Haredi psak halacha, particularly a great Torah scholar by the name of Rav Eliashiv. He ruled that these immigrants are not Jewish until proven otherwise. And this is opposed to the ruling of Rav Ovadia Yosef, Zichrono Livracha, another great halachic arbiter, who said the opposite, who said they're Jewish until proven otherwise. So because the Rabbanut is under ultra-Orthodox control, the level of investigation which these Olim have to go through, and it really feels that the experience is like a criminal investigation. They ask your parents to come in, and they put one parent in one room, one parent in another room, and ask the questions. And it's a very unpleasant experience for really a very small percentage. Really, I mean, even the chief rabbinate admit that this whole process is to identify less than 4% of the applicants who require conversion before they get married. But all of that community has to go through the process. So that's one group. There's another group of who are motivated by women's issues. There are many young Israelis want the kala to have more of the bride, to have more of a place under the chuppah. They want a wedding officiant who will find a halachic way for the bride to also give a ring. And even though, according to halacha, it can't be identical to the groom giving a ring, there are halachic workarounds, and there's responsa which have been written about how to do it in a way which can be permitted. Women can make brachot under the chuppah according to halacha, but the rabbanut will not allow it. So basically, what we come to do is make the tent larger. Many people also do not want to get married to the rabbanut because if you get married to the rabbanut and you're registered as married in Israel, if you get divorced, you have to go through the rabbanut for divorce. And the rabbanut divorce courts are notorious for discriminating against women. I want to say that that's not true about all of the Batei Din. It depends on what city in Israel and what particular dayanim, what particular forum of rabbis you sit before. But it is a problem, and it's a problem that many people are aware of. And that's another reason that there's a movement to sort of like a subversive movement to fight against that monopoly.
So interesting. So since you guys have been launching this endeavor, what's the success rate, and what's the meaning? Like, do you feel that you're giving people an experience? You're bringing them in on an experience, because the other end of it is not a fun experience, and you're trying to take their wedding and elevate that and make it even better for them. And what's your success rate with this, and how do people generally find you? Like, how do people find you guys?
So we've had a steady growth over the years. From our first years, we had less than 100 weddings. We're now at about somewhere around 400 weddings a year. It's hard to get a clear read because of the difficult challenges we've had in Israel these last couple of years. But customer satisfaction is very, very high. We know that from questionnaires we send out afterwards. So a lot of couples get to us by word of mouth, because the couples who get married here are often more than satisfied, or almost always more than satisfied. And so they tell their friends, and that's how a lot of people find us. We also have a very strong social media presence, both on Facebook and on Instagram. And we've also had significant press in the Israeli press, because our issues are interesting issues. So people find us also through public channels. And of course, if you go on Google and you look for halachic or Orthodox wedding outside the Rabbanut in English or Hebrew, our organization is the first one that comes up, and it's been that way for quite a few years. So I think there are a lot of couples who find us that way.
Cool. Do you get a lot of English speakers?
We do get a lot of English speakers. Not anything close to a majority, but we do get a lot of English speakers. I would say that if we look at the Orthodox or traditional couples who come to Chupot, many of them are Orthodox. As I said before, one of the motivators to come to us can be a more liberal Orthodox perspective, and so a lot of Anglos come to Israel with that sort of outlook. Also, a lot of our officiants, we currently work with 25 over 25 wedding officiants, rabbis. And by the way, we also have women who have been ordained as Neshot Halacha by the equivalent of a rabbi, and we also have women who officiate at weddings, and and not surprisingly, a large percentage of those rabbis are also Anglos, because the American Jewish community is diverse, as is the Israeli Jewish community, but many Olim are more lean more to the left in religious terms, not political ones.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. That's really, really interesting. So as we wrap up this podcast, first of all, it's a pleasure having you. What piece of advice would you give somebody who's looking to start an organization that's looking to challenge the other side and fight the man, so to speak?
That's a great question. I think that grassroots activism. I also believe in be the change. I think standing outside in street corners with signs and yelling is very much in style in Israel, but I think often it leads to a tremendous amount of frustration. So my advice is to focus less on the ideology and more on being the change, providing an excellent product, providing an excellent alternative, recognizing that what happens, as we say in Hebrew, bashetach, what happens in the field on the grassroots level, actually oftentimes impacts people's lives much more than the Supreme Court or the Knesset. And so I would say that I don't think there's a huge difference between activist entrepreneurial activity or just simple entrepreneurial activity. It's a business, it's a product. We do function as a nonprofit. We're not looking to make a buck, but we are looking to provide an excellent product and fill a need that's really out there.
That's really awesome. And do you guys charge for your services?
Yes. A wedding in Chupot costs 1,700 shekels.
Oh wow!
We also have a subsidized a system to subsidize people who need financial assistance. By the way, that's similar to what most couples will pay for their Rabbanut or in Sohar or in the alternatives. The charge, the fee, really covers all the cost of the product, and yet we still have significant philanthropic support for the activism end of what it is that we do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Rabbi Leibowitz, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'm going to put all their contact information on their page. And we'll be putting this up on YouTube along with the link to their episode. So you'll be able to connect with Chupot if you're interested in making a donation, becoming a partner, and supporting this wonderful organization. And again, this show is proudly brought to you by GiveSuite. If you'd like to learn more about GiveSuite, you can take a look at us in the link below, www.givesuite.com, and sign up for a 60-day free trial. Have fun with it. Go at it. And if you're also looking to go to a really cool event coming up in the near future, Connection Fest is live. We are excited to have it, and you can join now. Tickets are free. Come join us, have some fun, meet some cool people, and maybe you'll walk out learning something. So I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on another episode of Beyond the Bottom Line.